Hey there, everybody, this is Mr. Selfridge. Welcome to another episode of Talking Band here from the Mr. Selfridge YouTube channel. Today, I'm super excited to have very special guests that we've been trying to line up this interview for quite some time, and our schedules have lined up. So I'm super excited to have you meet the fantastic members of the Breaking Winds Quartet. Hi there, Breaking Winds.
Hello. Hi.
How are you today?
Very good.
Awesome. So first thing first, I want our audience to learn your names. So if maybe you could introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Yuki Katayama.
I'm LaMoure.
I'm Brittany Harrington-Smith.
And I'm Lauren Yu Ziemba.
Very nice to meet you over the internet, and I'm sure my audience is very happy to meet you too. Your group has really gained a lot of popularity and attention because you have such an amazing personality. You bring so much personality to your performance. I think the first video I saw of yours was the Lady Gaga. I think that one got a lot of attention out there on the internets. And you'll wear costumes, you'll joke around, you have choreography, you play different styles of music. So just tell us a little bit more about that. What's your inspiration for wanting to bring that type of individuality or personality to your performances?
Well, the inspiration came from when we were first starting out. One of the first concerts was performing the arrangements of the Bubonic Bassoon Quartet, and they had a lot of fun arrangements that are, I don't know if they're poppy, but just,
they're a little different.
They're different, yeah. It's not like classical transcriptions or anything, and we had to use like bubbles in concert where the audience can participate, and I don't know, just kind of engaging the audience in different ways has been one of our missions. And so incorporating costumes, the choreography, we'd go into the audience and play at their faces. Yeah.
And I think just what Yuki said was, engaging the audience in new ways and showing them, we'll take twists on classical music, especially with our new show. We take a lot of classical music and do kind of a fun twist to it. So just kind of engaging them that way, thinking outside of the box, and encouraging others to do so.
Fantastic. Of course, you have one of the best names for an ensemble that I think I've ever heard. So who can take credit for coming up with that name, or was it a group effort?
It was mostly Kara.
She is really good at puns.
Kara's punny.
Yeah.
That is I think that's a uniquely musician skill, where we tend to be good at puns.
Yeah, I like puns, and also I like how the bassoon is supposed to be a silly instrument, and how it has had a lot of kind of grotesque nicknames throughout history. So I really liked how that was a nod to the sort of lowbrow side of the bassoon.
Yeah, but it's such an elegant way of doing it, though, It's clever, but it's funny, but it's all those things. It's funny, whenever I mention to folks who, maybe have not heard of your group yet, I said, oh, next week I'm having the Breaking Winds on my YouTube channel, everyone immediately smiles. So there's a good start. If they're smiling before they even come in the concert hall.
Yeah, it sticks to your brain when you think the Breaking Winds Bassoon Quartet. No one will forget it,
Of course. So I discovered your group from someone sharing one of your YouTube videos. It was either on a band director's website, or one of my band director friends posted it, and right away it engages you. It's so much fun. You're so much fun to listen to and watch you perform. So what have been some of your more favorite YouTube videos or arrangements to perform? I saw your the Pokemon one is great. The Jurassic Park. There's so many great ones. Maybe each of you could talk about one that is your favorite or you really enjoyed making.
Yeah. like you already mentioned, I think one of my favorites is the Jurassic Park one. Not only because John Williams' music is amazing, it's because we got to collaborate with a community group, an animal shelter, and they let us record with the animals and even put costumes on them. And it was just like half a day of just hanging out with a bunch of animals. So that was really nice. Yeah.
My favorite is probably related to the original Lady Gaga saga, which was sort of our first viral video. But I like our 2011 version, which is where we took our Lady Gaga performance and like elevated it by doing even crazier, like really legitimate Lady Gaga costumes. And we had an excellent drummer who got into it too. And that was just really fun. So that's my favorite.
Two of my more fond ones, just like the actual making of it, would be we have a Nutcracker bassoon player.
I saw that one. I love it.
And we had this contra bassoon from Northwestern, and it would not play. And so that was just like an experience, like getting that all together. We have another one that is Christmas Gangnam Style, which is not one of our more popular ones, but it's like sleigh ride, and it's extremely extravagant in everything that we do. And I just had a fun time putting it together.
Was when Gangnam Style was
really popular. Yeah, when that was like super popular. So I actually really enjoyed both of those. If I had to pick a piece, sorry, I'm going off on a tangent, but if I had to pick a piece that I just to play, there's an arrangement I actually did in Chicago, Sufjan Stevens, and I don't know, it's just fun to play. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, for making videos, like by now we've made so many that it lets us use our creative juices.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I think my favorite one to make was the bassoonathlon.
That was good.
Yeah, we it was for the Winter Olympics in Russia. Yes,
the Sochi.
Yes.
Sochi.
Yeah, and that was just a lot of fun.
And welcome back to the 2014 Winter Games. Live from the Sochi Hotel, this is the event you've all been waiting for, the Bassoon-athlon. I agree, it's a complete treat.
I changed my answer. My favorite was Lord of the Rings.
Oh, yeah.
So Lauren and I spent a very long time making bassoon puppets and sets out of construction paper, and it was epic.
That was pretty fun.
Yeah,
we
were
really
in the
fun.
hotel room when we recorded it. We just used like a table in the hotel room.
We're all underneath.
You guys were like this.
So are we all Lord of the Rings fans, or was that one person's particular request?
I think we all like Lord of the Rings, but
I love Lord of the Rings.
There's always one, yeah. I'm actually a huge fan as well, so I'm not poking fun. I'm a huge fan of
Which video which one is your favorite? Which film?
of your videos. Oh man,
No, Lord of the Rings, the movies.
Lord of the Rings.
Which movie?
Yeah.
I was so disappointed in The Hobbit, but well, are you? I'm sorry, Kara. You like The Hobbit?
She
played in it.
In the soundtrack for the second one, right?
Yes.
Smaug.
I'm on the soundtrack for the Desolation of Smaug.
Wait, you're on the soundtrack, like the soundtrack?
Yeah, I'm the second bassoonist.
Yeah.
I get to brag about that all the time.
I was going to say the only part I liked about that movie was the bassoon.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Yeah. So I've been reading your bio. You guys have gotten, like I said, some of your videos have gone viral, and I didn't know all the really cool attention that you've gotten, the mentions you've gotten from different people in the media. What are some of the coolest things that you've found yourselves mentioned or appearing on?
Our most recent one that is probably tops them all is we got invited to perform for the 4th of July Nathan's hot dog eating contest, and we performed for like 3,500 or 35,000 people, plus we had like 5 seconds on ESPN, so that was pretty awesome. And we only played for like 5 minutes, yeah, and got a lot of swag out of it.
Free hot dogs.
Yes.
I'm trying to think. Some of the funniest things are that someone will be a bassoonist in a past life or have played bassoon in high school, and that is how we get bumped to, for instance, on Kickstarter, when we did our Kickstarter campaign, we ended up on the front page and in the newsletter because one of the employees at Kickstarter had played bassoon. Mm-hmm. So,
you guys got to stick together.
Yeah.
One of my favorites that was sort of odd was Perez Hilton tweeting about us, which was kind of funny because it's like, Hollywood gossip person tweeting about a bassoon quartet.
Wow. I think there's an actor. Who's the guy in The Office? Dwight Schrute.
Oh,
that actor.
Yeah, Rainn Wilson. He was a bassoonist.
Right. He played it on like The Tonight Show or something.
Yeah, he did.
Colbert. He even
Did you see that?
Oh yeah, because he did the electric guitar bassoon smash thing.
It was very
I was like,
controversial.
it was so painful. One thing I wanted to talk to you about was my channel is teaching all things about band, and we have students watching. We've got band directors who are going to be tuning in. I don't think we always know how to. We're not as familiar with the bassoon as we are with the other instruments in the band. How would you suggest we help more kids get interested in bassoon, help them get started on bassoon? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I think part of it is just having an awareness that the bassoon exists. Because now that we travel so much and we meet people all the time and we'll have our bassoons on our backs, I think we're learning more and more that actually just the existence of the bassoon isn't necessarily something that is a guaranteed known. So just having that as something that people hear, maybe, in listening to band repertoire or orchestra repertoire, like having that available for students would be great. But I taught bassoon methods classes for a couple years, and my current theory about getting students involved in the bassoon is basically to understand that the bassoon is just another woodwind instrument. So it's not as mysterious as a lot of people think it is. You just have to use your air support and blow into a reed, like on a clarinet, and there are fingerings. And so a lot of these fundamentals translate to every instrument, and a bassoon just happens to be bigger than, a clarinet or something like that.
I actually teach a lot of middle school beginners. I have a private studio in Dallas and have a fair amount of students just starting out, and I have all the time band directors coming up and asking me, different questions, and they're always like, I'm so uncomfortable with teaching bassoon. And, I give them a fingering chart, and like Kara said, it's like any other instrument, like learn the fingerings. It's not as mystifying as you might think. And I think for my students personally, the ones that do really well are the ones that, don't realize like some of the fingerings are challenging, and B, just have a lot of fun, and they actually will go learn fingerings or play songs, showing that they can play songs. I know some schools just kind of stay on notes and students never learn like London Bridge or whatever. That has been really fun for them, like that they can play a song and play it for mom and dad. So I think that's been a big thing for them.
For sure. Now, did each of you start on bassoon, or did you start on a different instrument? How did you get started playing the bassoon as a youngster?
Sure. So my mom is she just retired, but she was an instrumental music teacher she taught in a middle school. And she, before I even started playing anything, recommended the bassoon, oboe, and French horn. And I think I did originally choose oboe, but then there was no oboe at our school, so I played bassoon. And before that, she had introduced flute a little bit, but I was lucky enough that my elementary school teacher was a bassoonist, so that's why we started really young in bassoon.
I actually started on bassoon. Kara and I are both from the DFW Metroplex, and in Texas, 6th grade essentially is beginner band, and you do start on bassoon. Right off the bat, bassoon.
In 4th grade, started on clarinet just because all my friends were, and in 7th grade, I was still playing like 4th chair, 2nd clarinet. I was like, oh, this kind of sucks. I don't want to be here. So then in 8th grade, or right before that, my mom actually decided to go back to school, and one of her assignments was to interview a arts teacher. So then she interviewed my band director, and then in that conversation, he's like, here's a application for a music camp that I should try. And so I did that on clarinet, and then I don't know how, but I ended up getting into the orchestra and got to play not the Rite of Spring, Firebird, and we played the Bircuso Firebird, and there was no bassoonist at the camp, so a saxophonist played it, and we're like 7th and 8th graders, but that saxophonist sounded really good playing this mystical bassoon solo. I've never heard of a bassoon or ever seen one, so I'm just like looking in the back of the looking behind me. I'm like, wow, I wonder what the heck a bassoon is. So then in 8th grade, I went up to my band director. I was like, I'd like to play this thing, and he took it out of the closet. It hadn't been played in years, and he's like, here you go. And he was really nice enough. He gave me like $25 and was like, you can use that money to get a reed or whatever you need, and good luck, kind of thing. Yeah, he was very nice.
So the common thread here is each of you there was bassoon instruments available at your school to play. That's huge. I'm sure it varies school by school. If your district has purchased those instruments, that makes it much easier, because you don't often see in a lot of school districts, like the school I teach in, it's primarily a rental-based band. So like all the parents are renting the instruments. So that's a little bit of a roadblock to say to a kid or a parent, why don't you pay at least twice as much and rent this? So I think that's probably a very important thing for just schools to invest in, to have that balance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yuki, you mentioned the saxophone playing the bassoon solo. I'm a saxophone player, and I was really pleasantly surprised one time. I saw this video of this guy playing jazz tenor sax solos on the bassoon, and it sounds amazing. They're very similar in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Was it Paul Hansen?
I don't remember the name, but he was ridiculous. It was so good.
Probably Paul.
Yeah, is that probably him?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Probably.
Paul
He's like
Hansen,
the-
shout out.
Yeah. The jazz bassoonist, amazing player.
Sadly, on my YouTube channel, I'm still trying to develop, all my my tutorials. I don't have any bassoon tutorials. I'm kind of embarrassed to admit that. I need to branch out. But what are some of the, what's one thing that when you're dealing with a young bassoon player that you normally have to help them out with, or a tip for maybe some of my viewers out there who play bassoon? Maybe with one, or if each of you want to share just a quick tip, or if one or two of you want to.
Well, before you guys get into details, just setting up the bassoon correctly is a big one. Sometimes you come in and the long joint and the wing joint are like spread. They're rotated and they're just or not all the way in. So their pitch will be off, or they won't even be able to reach all the keys, and they'll think it's all their fault because they're sitting like this because they're too small. The instrument is so big. But if the instrument is correctly aligned, then at least they're starting off with an instrument that is wholly put together.
And even, cleaning up and putting away the instrument. One time I saw a kid swabbing his bell, which is unnecessary, or using a bigger swab to go in the tenor joint, and that gets stuck, and then now the instrument is ruined and needs to go to the repair or whatever. So yeah, just even those basics.
But even though it is big, it is still a fragile woodwind instrument, and I've seen them also where the joints were like this, because there were many times where the students tried to pull it out this way instead of straight up. So that's a big one. But
I think across the board, my students, if I sat each one of them and you said, what does Brittany tell you in your lessons? And they would all say the exact same thing: use more air. Bassoon, just the support, you can get away with not using a lot of air and the sounds will come out, but just your air stream is going to help you so much. Air, embouchure, not biting on the reed, those are my two big ones.
For me, I guess there are like two key techniques to look out for as you're learning notes. Our open note is open F, so if you just blow into a bassoon, that's what we get. And the notes that come right above that have two different techniques that are really important to practice, even from the very beginning. So first, right as you go above F up into F sharp, G, A flat, there's half-holing. And all we have is a tone hole, so it can be hard to be precise about where those hit and getting those to be true sounding. And then above that, into A, B flat, B, C, you have to use these vent keys that are above the whisper key. So your left hand thumb actually needs to push down some keys to make the notes speak correctly. But you can still play those notes without pushing down the keys, and it's really easy for a young bassoonist to learn to just not push down those keys and then end up being in trouble further down the road. So those two techniques, the half hole and the flicking or venting, I think are really important.
And not to make this conversation any longer about venting or flicking, but one thing that I always do with my beginners, and I know has gotten a lot of popularity among teachers in the Metroplex, is when you introduce it, we don't call it flicking, we don't call it venting, we call it part of the fingering. So they hold the note down or the key down on the note, so they think it's part of the fingering. And while it can alter the pitch, especially on the A, they do it. They have to hold it down. So then when they get older, they're used to going there, and then they can start to actually flick the key or vent the key. So band directors, that's a good one.
I just thought of also two really good ones for beginners. Oftentimes, if you're starting, especially if you're a little small, the student's smaller, it can be really awkward. So the important thing is to keep the bassoon still up towards the front of your chair, not totally.
So you're not like this.
You're not angled. You always want to bring the bassoon to you. Don't go to the bassoon. So if their bassoon is down here and they're doing, kids will do this. But you really want to have them sit straight and make sure that they're not adjusting for the bassoon.
Yeah, bringing the bassoon to them.
Mm-hmm. Which can also have a lot to do with where you distribute, where you're actually putting or balancing the weight of the bassoon. And one more thing is there's a ton of keys. We have 13 thumb keys on the bassoon. And if someone has a small...
That's why we're so scared of it.
But if someone has a small hand, they can often, when they're just trying to reach the keys, press down accidentally on extra keys. So what I taught some of my beginners is think of yourself holding a little hot dog bun right here. You don't want to squish, you want a nice, fresh, fluffy bun. So keep this hand relaxed and loose so that you're not pressing those extra keys.
Got it. It's all up here now. That's good. So now I think it's a good time to do a little feature that we have with our guests where we have 5 questions, and this is kind of a quick fire round. And since we have 4 guests, each of you can answer the question. The first question we have for you is thinking back to your musical background. Can you think of the moment when you decided that music was what you were going to do?
Honestly, I think it was in 8th grade when I started playing it. I'm a very shy person, and I was super shy back then, and I didn't really have any hobbies or too many interests at the time except for playing music, surprisingly, because when I was a kid playing piano, I was always crying. But I was just like, this is really cool. I really like it. And so, I don't know, I just pursued it and found a teacher and just really loved it.
I actually knew when I was a freshman in college studying not music, and an advisor advised me to continue with not music, and I realized I actually just wanted to do music.
So there's 2 categories for you. It's music, not music.
Yeah.
I think for me, honestly, just in high school, I really enjoyed it. Music's been in my family. Although I will tell you I'm the black sheep. All my family, they're a bunch of lawyers, except in my ancestry. Anyway, but yeah, I don't know. There was no defining moment. I just kind of knew.
Another musician friend asked me what I wanted to do in high school, in college, and I think I probably said be a doctor or a lawyer or something. And she said, "You're not going into music?" And then I guess I had never considered going into music, and that was like okay, I should go into music. That's what I really love doing.
Can you pick one song or one excerpt or one solo that's one of your favorites to play?
Are we talking standard bassoon rep or like our quartet?
From Lady Gaga to Firebird.
Not Firebird. Let's see.
The second movement of Scheherazade.
I love the Granger Lincolnshire Posy, playing the opening solely.
Oh, which movement is that? Is it?
The do 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 do, that one.
I think it's the third one.
Yeah, I really like playing the Sing Song Sonata. And I played it with harp
Okay.
instead of piano, and that just made it more fun. Sorry, pianists, but yeah.
I think, honestly, any major solo in a Shostakovich symphony. Like 9 is our movement, or our symphony with our movement. But I played 4, Shostakovich 4 a few years back, and it's just like, I remember running through it, and not many people know that piece intimately, and people being like, is this a bassoon concerto? Because there are so many beautiful, awesome, cool bassoon parts, and so many characters. So really, Shostakovich, I think any of that.
Speaking of music, non-music, what's one thing that you were into as a kid that wasn't music?
Soccer.
Figure skating.
Dancing.
I was into swimming. But I was also thinking of something non-sporty, since you guys said something non-sporty.
It's fine. You know, I asked that because like music kids tend to be like the busiest, and they tend to be super talented in like a lot of realms. So they're always running all over the place. Were you that kind of kid running all over the place doing all kinds of activities?
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a fight. I was on the softball team in high school, and there was like a thing with my teachers had to talk to the coaches because they didn't want me to be on the. They didn't want to let me be on the team, so they knew how busy the music schedule was. So there can be tension sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and I think it's. I mean, it's a philosophical thing, but as a teacher, I think we need to let kids be kids and make it as possible for them to participate. So hopefully, all the adults in that situation are flexible. You know, some are more flexible than others, I guess. Okay, this is a fun one. What is, if you had to pick another instrument that you could be awesome at, what would you pick?
The trombone.
Really?
I started teaching myself trombone.
It was
Last
fun.
year.
You don't have to learn a new clef, you know?
Well, I did methods classes because I was also an ed major, and my favorite other instrument was trombone. But I think just piano is so versatile. I wish I was better at it.
I feel like if I was really good or better at rhythms, I would try percussion. Mostly because when I was younger, like I love musicals. I loved and I still love musicals, and one of my secret dreams was to just play in the pit, like on Broadway, for the rest of my life. And
How does that equal percussion?
well, because like it's more diverse, and also just playing in films, you know, like there's so many more opportunities as a percussionist to play in films than in musicals than it is for a bassoonist. I don't know, it just seems more fun.
Okay. Brittany.
Oh, I have like 2. One, just keyboards in general, but not just piano. Like, I would love to do harpsichord, like jazz piano, organ. If you ask my husband, he would immediately tell you organ. He's a trumpet player. He's like, I wish I played organ, of all things. But just because it's like, you can play so much. So keyboard skills. Or, I can't believe I'm saying this, French horn.
French horn's beautiful.
Yeah.
I know, but I just want to like play loud.
Yeah.
Like,
French horns get to do the whoop, whoop, they get to do all that stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Speaking of playing movie themes, I mean, they get all the epic movie moments.
We'll play in a soundtrack together.
Awesome. Okay, so and this last one could be a group decision, or if you have individual memories of this. What is the funniest / craziest thing that happened during a performance?
I think we have a few.
Probably my favorite was a while ago. We did a tour in Texas, and we did like 50 concerts, same rep. So, I mean, if you can imagine that, you get pretty used to it. Not bored, let's not say bored, but it's like the same stuff every day, multiple times a day. And we play Thunder and Blazes, and there's a part where Lauren actually is trilling a note, and we have to be like, hey, like, stop trilling. Like, what? Stopped. It's a whole skit thing. And so one day, I turned to Lauren, and she's not trilling, and Yuki is. And
We switched the part without telling them.
Yeah, they switched on Kara and me. And so Kara and I
Took revenge.
Yeah, we took revenge, and in one of our, I don't even remember, oh, it was La Bamba?
Yeah, we had a grand pause and then like a coda after a grand pause. So Brittany and I decided that we would play the Sexy Sax Man song after the grand pause instead of the actual piece of music.
And this was like not in a rehearsal, this was in a concert, and they had no idea. And then Yuki kept trying to play, but she didn't even know what it was.
We always have many, I wouldn't say disasters, but many things where like someone's wig just doesn't get on or someone's music falls on the floor. But we have this one piece which involves Yuki throwing paper everywhere, and we didn't notice that one of our concert venues had candles. And so some of the paper went towards some of the candles. That was a bigger disaster.
And she was like flinging them.
Yeah, I hit someone in the eye. I'm sorry.
Whoever you are out there, Yuki, sorry.
Yes.
Any exciting stuff coming up? What's happening? Any recordings or big performances? What do you want to share?
Well, there's something that we've been wanting to do for a long time now is to play at TMEA, Texas Music Educators Association, especially since two of us grew up in Texas, and we will be doing that this year. So everybody in Texas, we'd love to see you and hang out with you in February. Yeah, and we're working on other tours, other educational opportunities as well. And we have a new program called A Broken Anthology of Western Music. So expect to see some of that stuff showing up on our YouTube channel and on the concert stage in the near future.
Awesome. And of course, I encourage all my subscribers to check out your YouTube channel, subscribe. It's an awesome channel. They can find you at YouTube / The Breaking Winds. The Breaking Winds. Okay. I'll put that up there. And where else can folks find you online?
They can find us on Facebook, also The Breaking Winds, Twitter, Instagram, and just on our website. They can email us at thebreakingwinds@gmail.com.
We're going to try to get Snapchat going.
Yeah, we're a little slow on that, but we'll see if we can start that up.
So that brings us to the end of our conversation. I really enjoyed having you all on today. I'm sure my viewers are all going to enjoy hearing from you, and if they don't know you already, they definitely got to check you out on your YouTube channel, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff. To the Breaking Winds, thank you, ladies, for joining us today. And I hope we can chat again soon, and look forward to hearing what you're going to come out with next.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much.